Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
And today our lesson is at Proverbs 22, verse 13. Proverbs 22, verse 13. And may we please read in Spanish first.
Dice el perezoso, el león está fuera, seré muerto en la calle.
Okay.
The lazy one manufactures excuses and says, there is a lion outside. I will be killed in the streets if I go out to work.
All right. The lazy one manufactures excuses to keep from going to work. And this one is really preposterous. It's way out there in Israel. There weren't any lions in the city walking up and down the street. They were probably in the woods or out in the pastures or somewhere, but they were not in the streets there. Otherwise, the scripture would have said there was a panic in the city. Everybody would be inside. Enduring Word Commentary says, this is the cry of the lazy man. In his imagination, the outside world and the work required to function in it are so frightening that it is best avoided. That's the way the lazy man is. He comes up with all kinds of excuses. His excuse is crazy and is absurd, but such is the refuge of the lazy man. I can't find a pencil. I don't have my shoe. I dropped my book. Just anything to keep from doing what needs to be done. I can't find it. Repeating the question back to you, get your books out, get your book out. Well, they heard you first time, or they wouldn't have said exactly what you said. So it's any excuse to keep from doing what you need to do. Spurgeon said, and he spoke on Proverbs 22:13, which is where we are, and also on Proverbs 26 as well. In both texts, it's to the slothful man. It's represented as having something to say. And I think that there are people that have so much to say, he said, as those who have little to do. That is one thing I noticed once I started working. You work with people that do a lot of talking, but they're not actually working. They're just talking about the work. But you look to see, what are they doing? They're not actually doing anything. They're just talking about, oh, it's so much to do, and we're supposed to do this, and we're supposed to do that, and we got to do this, and I don't know, and when are we going to do this? Blah, 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 blah. But they're not actually doing the work. And Spurgeon points that out. There is nothing done, but there's much talked about. The sluggard is represented as finding fantastic and preposterous excuses to demonstrate that no idea is too odd or fantastic for him to come up with to keep from doing what he got to do. He can come up with some really odd things, His life and the community is not endangered from the phantom lion that's supposed to be circling through the workplace, but it's from his lazy lifestyle. That's where the danger is in the workplace. It's not from this phantom thing that's supposedly going on. The danger is is that the company can crash because that person is not doing what they're supposed to do. That's by Watke. Spurgeon says, laziness is a great lion maker. Laziness is a great lion maker. You just come up with we do that in ourselves. Sometimes we don't want to do what we're supposed to do, and we come up with more reasons why, I can't find it. I must have said that. Oh, it's so-and-so. Oh, that's just too much. Oh, it's so much to do. Oh, blah, 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 blah. We come up with a lot of reasons, okay? He who does little dreams much. What I think we ought to do is we ought to add another wall in here and push that back and do so. They dream a lot, but nothing's being done. They ain't doing nothing with the wall they got. They talk about what they need to do is bring in more people and blah 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 and section it off here and have and they're not even doing what they're supposed to do with what they have. Okay, his imagination, the Spurgeon says, not only could create only a lion, but a whole menagerie of wild beasts. And if some mighty hunter could come and hunt down all the lions that his imagination had let loose, he would soon distribute herds of more terrible animals, which would be with wolves and tigers and lions. He could just come up with all kinds of things. Too hot, too cold, too slow, too fast. It's just all kinds of things. When are you going to pick well, I'd have picked it up, but I had to pick up, and I was because I had to do so. Well, why are you leaving it there? Well, I left it there because it's so. There's a reason. Always an excuse. Always an excuse. John Trapp pointed out that this imaginary lion is not Satan. It's not Satan, nor is it the Lion of Judah. It isn't Jesus the Christ. Here there is no talk of Satan. There is no roaring lion that his imagination has let loose, nor is it yet of the tribe of Judah. The lazy man exaggerates the dangers and troubles outside his door, especially when it's connected with work. Didn't have enough time. Somebody else got it, didn't put it there. Somebody took it, put it somewhere else. Can't find it, too short, too long. It's always an excuse. Spurgeon says the lazy man or woman, what they need to do is look to the Lord for victory over their sin. If you want to be able to get ahead, look to him and help him. Ask him to help you do the things that you need to do. Matthew Poole's commentary says, the slothful man talks of a lion without, but considers not his real danger is from the roaring lion within, and from his own laziness, which kills him daily. Makes him late, makes him procrastinate, makes him not meet the requirements. He's killing himself because he's too lazy to do what's required of him. It takes work. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes motivation. It's not easy. It's not easy. But all the reward of going on and getting it done, it's just so much better. Okay? We need to know Proverbs 26:13. Would you please find that? 26 Proverbs. I hope that verse is correct.
26.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Someone read it, please.
The lazy person who is self-indulgent and relies on lame excuses says, "There is a lion in the road. A lion is in the open square, and if I go outside to work, I will be killed."
Okay. The lazy person that's indulgent, they indulge themselves. It's always about them and what they can't do because it's this, it's that. You know, I got a sticker in my finger, and it's probably gonna fester, and they're gonna have to cut that finger off. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Okay. The extreme excuses made, Wolford and Zuck says, by a lazy person to avoid work are ridiculous. Most probably, a lion would not be roaming in the streets of an Israelite town. John MacArthur says, the lazy person gives lame excuses for not leaving the house to get to work. Let's look at Proverbs 6, verses 6 through 11. Proverbs 6, verses 6 through 11. Would someone read 6, 7, and 8 of Proverbs 6?
Go to the ant.
He says, go to the ant. Take a look at the ant. Observe the ant. Go ahead.
You sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come on you like a prowler, and your need like an armed man.
Okay, so go to the ant. Take a lesson from the ant. You lazy thing. Don't you see the ant? She works. She gathers. The ants are out. Just check them out. Time you drop something, there's an ant there. And there's no guide, no captain. But they know they gotta get their food now, because when it gets cold, they can't come out. So they're steady going, getting food, making their little holes there so they can come out and grab that food. And you think, well, where did that ant go? There wasn't no ant there. There they are. And they're carrying back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in there, making preparation. Okay? The ant is an example of industriousness, diligence, and planning. And it serves as a rebuke to the sluggard. The lazy man has his devotion to sleep rather than work, learns too late, and comes to an inescapable poverty. Laziness can lead to poverty. It's bad for an ant to have more get up about it than a person. They don't need clothes and houses and shoes. But they know they need to eat because winter is coming. J. Vernon McGee says, a lazy man is full of excuses. It's too cold. It's too hot. It's too windy. It's too sunny. It's too cloudy. It's raining. Or even that there's a lion outside. A believer who's looking for the Lord's return is not a dreamer, a shirker. That believer is a worker. They know he's coming back. He didn't say go up in the mountains and fold your arms and sit. The Lord is coming. Well, you need to work while it is day. And since he's coming, you need to be working and be prepared. Occupy until he comes. Believer's Bible says, if a lazy person can't find an excuse for not going to work, he'll make one up. Just even it's ridiculous in what he says. He'll just come up, just manufacture something to keep from doing it. Well, I couldn't climb those stairs. I couldn't reach the elevator. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. They just come up with something. Okay. Bible reference says, the book of Proverbs contains many indictments of laziness. We've already read Proverbs 6 through 11. Then there's Proverbs 12:24. There's Proverbs 18:9 and Proverbs 19:15. The suggestion that a lion might be breaking or lurking in city streets is meant to come across as exaggerated and silly. The modern equivalent to this might be a healthy person who claims it's better not to work so he won't be at risk of a traffic accident. I could have a or being mauled by a tiger. I can't come in today. I may be mauled by a tiger. The example is deliberately extreme, yet even less dramatic pretexts can be just as unfair and unreasonable. Even if the excuse is attached to some measure of truth, such as fear of embarrassment or distaste for the task you have to do, it is still an unreasonable excuse for refusing to meet your obligations. Even if there's some truth to it. I have a pain in my heel, that's true. But it's not keeping me from going to the store. It's not keeping me from going to the game. It doesn't keep me from going to the movies. It is a lame excuse that is unreasonable, that's keeping me from doing what I am supposed to do. I saw the funniest thing on Facebook. The man was in a robe and he was at the stove and he was calling in saying he couldn't come to work because he had these tests they were going to be doing on him. And once they finished the test, he wouldn't be able to make it to work. And the person asked him, well, what kind of test is it? He said, they'll be doing an autopsy. How silly. He didn't even know an autopsy, you're dead. But you see, we come up with frivolous, silly things okay, to keep from doing what we need to do. There are countless variations of excuses, even given those who can work but do not work, as they try to evade the shame. Christians should be as supportive as possible to those who are legitimately prevented from earning a living. Proverbs 29:7. But we should not humor those who are simply lazy. Christians should help those. Let's turn to 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verses 10 and 11. 2 Thessalonians. Time to let it be put in for those at home. 2 Thessalonians 3:10 through 11. If you have it, will you read, Sister Gloria?
For even while we were with you, we used to give you this order: if anyone is not willing to work, then he is not to eat either. Indeed, we hear that some among you are leading an undisciplined and inappropriate life, doing no work at all, but acting like busybodies, meddling in other people's business.
Well, you don't hear many sermons on that. Probably have never heard a sermon on it. But Paul wrote to the church, okay? They commanded them, if anyone that's able to work, refuses to work, then let them go hungry. They'll find something. Okay? Then he went on to say, for they had heard there were those who weren't working, but they're going around getting into everybody else's business. And that's what lack of work or laziness leads to. You work with people, they don't do nothing. But they always continue. I know this down the hall thing. You know, and I don't believe. If you're working, you don't have time to be worried about what they doing next door. That don't concern you. You just be doing what you need to do. And Paul said it had gotten back to them that there were those who were not working and they were spending all their time in other men's business. They were busybodies. And that's a play on words. They're not busy working, they're being busybodies. Believers' Bible says the Thessalonians had already been commanded not to support shirkers. If they are an able-bodied, or if an able-bodied Christian refuse to work, neither should they eat. Does this conflict with the fact that believers should always be kind? No. It is not a kindness to encourage laziness. Some who don't attend to their own business. They are busybodies. Some, they are not busy people, but busybodies. Some that are not busy in their own business, but are over busy in other people's business. There are those who can't work outside the home. There are young women that have small babies, children, that are scuffling trying to make it. They need all the help they can get. But they start home businesses. They come up with something they can do at home to bring in income. That shows that person is not a lazy person. They work with their own hands. Many of entrepreneurs have started making cookies in their kitchen to earn extra money, crocheting, doing whatever they can do. They do that until their situation changes. We as believers should be discerning and helpful as God leads us. Now, that person that's making up excuses and learning how to feed upon others to keep themselves where they don't have to do anything, that's not of God. And as believers, according to God's Holy Spirit, according to His Word, we will become enablers of them rather than helping them to come out of that. And there are many in the world today. Okay. The lazy person comes up with many excuses. There's a lion in the street. If I go out, I will be killed. But those are just lame excuses to not do what's required of them. And God is not pleased with that. And it should not be found anywhere, but especially in the body of Christ. So Paul said, you need to let them know it is commanded of you. Don't support that. It's never kindness to support people doing wrong. That you're not being kind to them. You're perpetuating their behavior. You're causing them to keep doing it because they're getting over. That's how they learn it. But when they are honestly trying to work and do what they can because of their situation, then we ought to help them in whatever way we can. Very sound, basic, true lesson today, where the rubber meets the road, which is what we need. This ends the lesson for